25 years ago, I walked into an abandoned house in South Central Los Angeles in the middle of the gang wars. And I found a house full of kids with silver faces from putting paint on a rag, sniffing into it, most of them who stuttered from the damage from the paint. I made a promise to those kids, and I opened a one-room schoolhouse. And two of the oldest gangs in Los Angeles showed up. An auditorium full of kids from 12 to 20. And for 2 years, we did battle. From Buddhist monks to Wonder Bread to cops who came by every day to teach kids to read for 5 minutes. And when we closed 2 years later, all of our kids were alive. Addictions had been beat. And kids who before then didn't care if they spent their lives in jail, played that game of I'll shoot you, you shoot at me, hopefully we both die. The kids that came out 2 years later had futures and lives that they no longer wanted to throw away. The story of those kids I published in a small book, Peace in the Streets, that made its way to Indian country. A tribe that had 18 gangs and a homicide rate that would get national attention. We had a large tribal gathering where we presented our ideas, where we talked and argued, and at the end of that night, one of the gang leaders, a young man, probably 18, 19 years old, stood up in the back of the room and with the most menacing face he could put together, said, "I've heard a lot of nice talk tonight, but you all know this isn't going to work. This would only work if we wanted it to work, and we don't want this." The room got quiet, including myself. There was a fear in the room that maybe he was right. And then one of the tribal elders got up, walked over to him, and said, "You're a teenager. Your job is to rebel, to make life hard for us. You've done a good job of that. But we're adults, and our job is to raise you, and we don't need your permission to do that. So you don't have to like what we're going to ask you to do, but you are going to do it." After Peace in the Streets was released, I had the opportunity to work with gangs all over the country. Oakland, Boston, South Phoenix, with farm gangs, with inner city gangs, and most recently in mining country, with these small bands of kids in these little towns. A lot of meth, a lot of addiction. Even here, I've seen remarkable things happen. A volunteer carpenter with some community help gathered up these kids and taught them to make their own furniture, and we remodeled a school. And over 110-degree summer, I saw amazing changes, and I saw very lost kids become something that began to look like competent young adults. In this third and final book, I start again with that one-room schoolhouse with the kids of Clanton and First Flats. And then I tell the stories of 25 years working with some of the most violent, most addicted, most difficult kids in cities, in rural America, on Indian reservations. But these are the good stories. These are the stories of what works, of what's possible.
But I don't know if I'll find the strength to make it through another time. I'm saying